I'm Sharon from the UK. I don't know if you've watched my video yet, my tour of this little craft room, but it's not quite as tidy at the moment as it was when I did my video. But yeah, it's a great little space, and it's been such fun to join in this event actually, because it's been it's nice to see everyone else's faces and all the ideas. Suggestions for cardstock paper categories. I have rainbow. This is a tricky one. I don't have that many patterned papers. My coloured cardstock I have next to me here actually, and I put those in like job pockets, and they're in rainbow order. I label them rainbow order. For patterned papers and themed collections and stickers, I don't buy a lot of stickers. If I buy like scrap 12 by 12 kits that have bits and bobs, I tend to put those just in plastic boxes on their own, and label it with the collection. I kind of keep the whole collection together, like the 12 by 12 and the stickers and rub-ons and things. But I don't have that many, so I'm probably not the best person to answer that question. I got started crafting in 2002. I have always done something creative. When I was younger, I used to do a lot of pencil drawing. I used to sketch dogs and horses mainly. I was obsessed. I used to do a lot of horse riding as a kid, and so horses and dogs. And then as I got older, I just sort of dabbled in painting and sketching. And then in 2002, my sister got married, and knowing that I could draw, etc., she had seen these wedding invites she wanted, and decided that with no experience in card making at all, I could make all her wedding invites, her table plans, the order of service, place numbers for the tables, all of it, for 100 people, just, you know, as you do. And it was quite complicated actually, because it was metal sheets, craft metal sheets that were dry embossed with the numbers and their names and everything. So it was a sharp learning curve. They actually, looking back, they weren't bad for my first sort of crafting attempt. So after that, of course, I'd bought all this stuff to do her invites with. So I kind of carried on with those supplies. And in getting those supplies, I discovered a few little craft stores. And about that time in the UK, I think the year after, craft shopping telly started TV. So I started watching the demonstrations on there and getting ideas, and I learned the basic techniques like heat embossing and stuff from watching craft telly, which is funny because now that's my job. So it's gone full circle. Lots of journals. Well, I tend to, with journals, I do gravitate to the same kind of theme for them. Botanicals and sort of that whole vintage field note type thing. So I am forever, when I'm out and about, going into antique shops and buying like old botanical books that I can, you know, I go for books that are falling apart and then I can tear out the pages and use those, and old cigarette cards with florals and butterflies and that kind of thing. So very much florals, and then kind of themed things around paper collections. Sometimes I'll get 12 by 12 kits and use that for the whole theme of the journal. But yeah, that botanicals and sort of butterflies and things is where I usually go with them. My markers, actually, you can just see them up here in the background. So they are from Crafter's Companion. They are stackable, so you can stack upwards or across. I've got 2 side by side, and then I think, I don't know how many trays I've got going up, but they're in little trays, so they're pretty cost effective. They're not that expensive, and they do them in clear or black. I've got clear, and I've had them years. I've got the whole collection of Pro markers, and that's what I keep going the wrong way. That's what you can see here. And then the other side that are just sort of out of shot, I've got a load of Studio Light markers, and then below that I've got my Copics. I haven't got that many Copics. I tend to use my Pro markers most, but yeah, those trays are really, really good. I can highly recommend them. Well, it's been really interesting, actually, as someone that's a bit spoilt with having a craft room now. It's made me realize you really don't need all the things and all the space. So I think it was Laura's I was watching, where she's crafting in her bedroom, and I just think that is so impressive, because I've realized I'm a bit of a hoarder, because looking at what Laura had and how she's got it organized, she's got everything she needs there, and I've got so much stuff that I don't use very often. So I think that's been the most inspiring to watch, and it's kind of made me, I'm itching now to have a little bit of a declutter. Oh, that's a good question. Most proud of, I think actually it's probably my little shelves that you can see. I keep going the wrong way. Over this way. You can just about see them. You could see them better in my video, and actually they were the ones the other side by my marker. I've got them both sides. They're the IKEA picture rail shelves, but of course they're so shallow, and my little invention for them, because of course those shelves aren't that strong, they're only designed for putting pictures on, so you can't go in and put all your really heavy things on them. But I realized that, like my bottles of Nuvo drops and acrylic paints and things, I could fit 2 layers, but of course the ones behind you couldn't see. So I wanted to put a little step, but I realized if I got a bit of wood cut, that would add quite a bit of weight. So my very clever solution was to buy a sheet of polystyrene, and I've cut that. Let me just grab one and I'll show you. It's literally just white polystyrene, and I've just chopped that. And of course this weighs nothing, but it gives the height, and it's white, so you don't see it, because of course once you've got a layer of bottles in front of it, you can't see this at all. But it's just the perfect little shelf. So that's what I'm most proud of, because I needed to find a solution for that. Well, I haven't watched all of the presentations yet, because I've actually been working all weekend, so I've still got quite a few to catch up on tonight. But I do, the one solution that I am lacking and want to get next is to go here. You can see I've just got some little jars and things there. That space, I want to add some ink pad storage. At the moment, I've got all my distress oxide inks and my distress inks in a little metal filing cabinet, which is here next to my working desk, my office desk. But some of my oxides and things are like 3 deep, so it's not that practical, because I use those pretty much in every project. So those are the things that I need to have right, easy to grab and visible. So I'm thinking, if I put them here, I'm going to get some nice storage. In the UK, we're a little bit limited, actually, because we don't have Stamp and Storage or Organise More. And I've looked at both those companies, and they have exactly what I want, but the shipping to get them here is hundreds of dollars. So that's not going to happen. There's only a couple of companies in the UK that do nice wooden. I just want white to go with everything else. And there's only a couple of companies that do them, and I'm going to have to paint them myself. And they're not as beautiful as Organise More and Stamp and Storage. So a little bit, but that's my plan for that back corner. Thank you. Yes, I do love rainbows. My favourite distress ink colour. Well, actually, my favourite doesn't really go with the whole rainbow vibe, but I quite like the subtles. So I can't quite pick one. My two favourites, or three, actually I'm going to go with three, are Bundled Sage, Speckled Egg and Tattered Rose, because I do like the vintage sort of muted tones. So those are the three colours I use most. It's just polystyrene sheet. It comes in a big block, and I had to buy a long craft knife that I could slice it with. But yeah, it's just used normally for packaging. So it was really inexpensive, and I think it was from a modeling shop or something I bought it. But yeah, really inexpensive, and of course I can cut it to size, and it weighs nothing. Yes, although it's not the smallest thing to ask someone to put in their suitcase, is it? But yeah, I am a bit gutted, and I keep looking at their website and I keep calculating the shipping and thinking, no, I can't. Oh, that's a good one. Well, I am quite lucky in my job that I do get to craft with some amazing people, like here in the UK, Pete Hughes, and we've got Eileen Hull coming over in a few weeks. So I'm going to get to spend some time with Eileen. Of course, I would love to craft with Tim Holtz. Yeah, I think he would be top of my list. I'm very much a card maker. Most of the work I do is for Sizzix, so I would say probably 90% of what I'm doing is with Sizzix products. So I do particularly like card making and Eileen Hull journals. Those are kind of my go-to things. My style is kind of clean and simple, but with layers. It's a little bit in between, kind of clean and simple, but I do like to add a little bit of layers and a little bit of shabby chic type thing. Yes, sorry, it is a bit of a UK thing, although you have got HSN in the States. Although so it's a shopping television channel, and I know HSN doesn't only have craft. It has set days for craft, whereas here in the UK we have two TV channels that only show craft stuff. So every day, all day, every day, you can watch craft demonstrations on television. So there are two channels. Create and Craft is one, and Hobby Maker is the other one, and that's the one that I do a lot of work with. So on Hobby Maker, I work for Sizzix, Deflecto, Himi Paints, various companies, and show everyone how to use all the things and hopefully get them to buy them. Yes, before I had this summer house, it was in my bedroom, a bit like Laura actually. I had one IKEA Kallax unit and a desk, and that was it. And it wasn't great because I ended up at that point, luckily I wasn't yet doing the television work. It was just design team work, but I did end up with kind of stacks of boxes, and every time I wanted to do anything I had to kind of move a load of boxes out the way to get to what I needed. But it did take me a couple of years in the planning really to get this summer house, because we've got a long garden and I'm at the end of the garden, and before my summer house went in there was like a big slope, a big rockery, so I had to get someone in to kind of dig all of that out, level it, and then put a patio down before I could even get the summer house. So it did take me about 2.5 years, because I had to kind of spread the cost out of it all, because it was quite expensive just to get the ground leveled and patio slabs down. So that was kind of 1 year, and then the following year I had enough money to get the summer house. I mean, the summer house wasn't that expensive because it's basically a shed with insulation, and that's it. So it wasn't that expensive, but what was expensive was getting the electricity put in, and the flooring and stuff. That was kind of the real costs. I didn't see, yes, Beth was on Hobby Maker last week. I didn't happen to be in the studio that day, so I didn't see her. I think I was in a couple of days afterwards, but I know she had a great time, and everyone at Hobby Maker loved having her there. Well, I've got a little box where I keep cards that I've made that I can then use if I need a birthday card myself for anyone, or a get well soon card or whatever. The majority of the cards I make are for TV shows, and I need to keep them because obviously it's quite a lot of work doing all the prep. And I might do a show in July, and then towards the end of the year at Christmas, they might start doing sale shows and they'll bring back products that I've already had shows with. So what I do with those is I put them in boxes, and I've actually got a storage unit away from our house, about a 5-minute drive away. I rent like a little storage unit, and I've just got boxes of all my samples down there. So if something comes back on a show that I know I've made something for, I can just pop down there, have a rummage through my boxes and pull out all the things, all the finished cards, to save me do them again. So yeah, so the ones that I know I won't need again for television will go in a box next to me, and I'll try and use them for myself. They're well, if you were a hoarder like I am, yes. I think if I had a warehouse, give me a couple of years and I think I'd fill it. I definitely expand to the space I've got, because when I first got this summer house, all of those drawers that you can see behind me, I've got the whole back wall is those drawers, and half of them were empty when I first came in here, and I thought, wow, that's fantastic, I've got so much space. Every single one of those drawers is overflowing now, and as you can see, there is stuff everywhere. I think, well, there probably are a couple of things actually. My stamp and die solution I'm really happy with. I use the Avery L type stamp pockets, and I put magnetic sheets in them, and I use those for my stamps and my dies, and I've been using that system now for probably about, I want to say about 6 or 7 years. So I haven't felt the need to move away from that. So that's definitely one I'm really happy with. The marker storage is another one. I've had those years and that works perfectly for me. So it's just the ink pad storage that I need to sort out now. Oh, crafty quirks. There's one thing I actually quite enjoy doing that I know most people will be like, are you mad? I actually quite like fussy cutting, and I find it quite relaxing. So whenever I've got really detailed stamped images, I quite often, yeah, I knew I knew you were going to say that. So many crafters use like a scan and cut to scan in their images and cut them, but I like the fussy cutting. So yeah, I don't mind that. I find it quite relaxing, and I don't mind at all. Well, cardstock, I use a combination actually. I use the Sizzix white cardstock, which I think is about, I'm trying to think, in US, it's in UK, it's about 260 GSM, which I think is about, would that be about £100? I use that a lot. And then there's a company in the UK called Lime Tree Crafts, and they do a really nice, very crisp white 300 GSM, so a really heavy, and I use that for my card blanks. But I do like a nice, really crisp white for my card blanks. I make my own card blanks. I don't buy pre-scored cards. Favorite tool? It's got to be my Sizzix Big Shot. I do a lot of die cutting. Die cutting is very much my kind of thing. So it's the one thing I absolutely could not be without. It's my big shot. Yeah, 260. I always forget which way around it is. So yeah. Craft pet peeves. I think, well, I don't know about pet peeves. Do you mean in terms of things I don't like? In terms of style, I don't like anything that's too fussy. There are also some things still around that I just think are really dated, like peel off stickers and things like that. And when I see those on a card, I'm just like, oh no, we've got so many nice things you can use instead of those now, like nice stamps or nice die cuts or even foiling. So yeah, I'd say things like peel off stickers and just really overloaded cards. My favourite crafting item, well, my big shot, I suppose. I have a new favourite actually, which is just launching now, and that is the Sizzix stamp and spin tool. I only got it this week, and if you don't know what it is, have a little look on the Sizzix website, because I think it's the 1st of May it's launching. But it is a tool that fits on their stamp platform, and it's got like a rotating acrylic piece on the front, which makes it really easy to create wreaths and things with stamping. It's far better than, I know these have all been done before, but with all the other sort of tools for creating wreaths, you lift up and move your card. It's like a dial, and it moves around with your stamp on it, so it's far quicker and easier. It's a really cool tool. Paper scraps, well, this is one area where I'm not a hoarder, and I am quite ruthless actually. The way I work, because I am mostly doing samples for TV shows, I've kind of got very much a deadline that they've got to be done by, and then I kind of put everything in a box and it goes off, and then I'm on to the next thing. So when I'm in between, when I get to the end of preparing everything for a show and I put it in the box ready to put in my car, I then clear my craft space, and all the scraps, if they're of a decent size, they go back in the bins where the coloured cardstock is stored, which is right behind me at the back there. But if they're tiny scraps, I bin them, because I would end up overrun. And it's probably a bit lazy and a bit wasteful, but that's how it is. If it's tiny scraps, I just chuck them. Well, I do recycle them, but they go. Do you have any tools from outside the crafty space? Do you mean other things in my craft room? No, this is very much just for my crafting. At one point, during COVID, I was doing an office job as well as doing this. Now I just do the craft stuff as my full-time job, and I had to do my day job in here with a laptop, and I found it really affected my crafting, because I had to be in one mindset to do my day job and another for creating. And just having my laptop on the desk here, as I was crafting, I kept thinking about, oh, I need to do that for work. And in the end, at the end of my working day, to try and stop it, I would take my laptop back into the house, so it was kind of out of sight. So yeah. Oh no. Oh, I see. Right. Not really. No. I'm a bit of a sucker really for buying all the latest crafting things, and I do tend to just buy, even if I know there's a sort of cheaper non-crafting version of something. I am a bit of a sucker for having the latest thing from the craft companies. Oh wow, that time just flew, didn't it? Well, thanks everyone for joining me. And I will, if you've got any more questions, I am going to be popping into the Facebook group after this to catch up, because I've been working all day. So I'm going to catch up with all the chat in there after this. So if you've got any questions for me, just ask in there and I'll get back to you this evening. So thanks for joining me, everyone.